Peruna in College Station texted, if you weren't with us at the end of our lunch hour, the question is, would you pay $50 for a movie ticket? Regal Cinema charged $50 for tickets to Dune 3, and that doesn't come out till December, and that's 70 millimeter IMAX. But $50 sold out in minutes. So the answer is yes, people will. But would you? Here's Peruna. For what Hollywood turns out under the guise of quote unquote entertainment, $50 would be better spent on a ticket and a soda to watch the Brazos Valley Bombers with enough left over for nachos and a hot dog. Oh, look, Peruna, Bombers baseball has always been affordable entertainment. Like, you can get the ticket for $5 to $8. And you said a ticket and a soda, and the soda's not, they don't charge ballpark prices to go to Bombers games whatsoever. Because the soda, nacho, hot dog ticket, $8 for the ticket, soda, nachos. I don't know if that total would hit $20. It might be a little bit over. In other words, that $50 movie ticket, you could do all that at the Bombers for half price. And that's the Bombers ticket, a soda, a nacho, and a hot dog would be half price of that $50 movie ticket or less. You could take and buy, because there's different ticket levels, and the Bombers games had the tickets with the all-you-can-eat. And the ticket with the all-you-can-eat would be less than half price of the $50 movie ticket. So just, yeah, absolutely, Peruna. Noah, Louie, are you going to watch the new Michael Jackson movie? No. Or have you watched it yet? No. Are you going to watch Devil Wears Prada 2? Yes, but once it hits streaming. So, look, I watch almost every movie in the world when it hits streaming. There's time, okay? Look, yes, I watch almost every movie when it hits streaming. I regret watching most movies. There are not a lot of good movies that are made, so don't get me wrong. But there's time. There's 2 a.m. There's 4 a.m. Sometimes I'm looking for a movie that won't distract me from my couch, movies to fall asleep to. And I go, that's a movie to fall asleep to. Peruna in College Station did text back to go, okay, ticket, soda, nacho, hot dog, and 3 gallons of gas. I don't know if anybody can afford 3 gallons of gas right now, Peruna. And it's only going to get worse as we go into the summer. Thank you for all the text messages. This is the Louie Bellina Show. I'm inside the Charles Schwab studio. I do want to go back to the NFL draft because I love the draft. And, I feel like the draft is a little bit universal. You love the draft because of the Aggies. You love the draft because you're a Texans or Cowboys fan. There's so many ways to kind of get excited, hooked for the draft. CBS Sports took each team, gave them a letter grade. They went best pick, worst pick. If you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, again, by every service, every expert, top 5, top 3 draft, CBS Sports gave their draft class an A. They thought the best pick, and this is the bizarro land, is Malachi Lawrence. Quote, explosive, high-ceiling player. They thought the worst pick was the tackle, Drew Shelton, they took in the 4th round, basically because it was a reach, swing tackle, and he just needs too much development still. Houston Texans grade was a B, and CBS Sports was kind and generous compared to most. Most had the Texans down. The worst pick they had was the tight end Marlon Klein in the 2nd. Why? Because he was nowhere near the highest ranked tight end on the board at the time. Best pick, first one, guard Kalen Rutledge. And, okay, that pick is still just the odd pick, right? They traded up, but they didn't need to. He had a 2nd round grade, but it didn't matter because it fit their need. Just a lot of weird, but the actual player's good and fits what they need. So much weird. Pittsburgh Steelers, America's team, the greatest franchise in the history of the NFL, got a C, which I'll take. It was such a weird draft. It really was. But their best pick, the second round receiver, Jeremy Bernard. Worst pick, fourth round, the receiver, Caden Wetchen. The Drew Alar pick is going to haunt them. And I wish I could remember where I saw this, right? Because how to put your finger on what's wrong with Drew Alar. He spent his junior and senior year with NFL prospects pumping him up, and then he finished as a blip on the radar. If it wasn't for the Steelers overreaching on Drew Alar, he was not going to be a 1, 2, 3 pick. He was just somebody that someone would take a flyer on in the 5th or 6th round, and the Steelers take him in the 3rd. Maybe someone would have took him in the 4th, but you get the point. His whole career, until it was over, that's the oddest thing. His whole career until it was over, this was a first-round NFL quarterback. And then when the smoke cleared, we had all the data. He was not a first round, day 1 or 2 quarterback. He was just someone that thought they could develop him. The Steelers took him in 3. And I read, who said this? But it's simple. No killer instinct. He doesn't go for the finish. You don't want him as your quarterback in clutch time. When you have to have it, he ain't the quarterback that has it. And in the NFL, the way every play goes, every play is that equivalent of the college when you got to have it. And with someone like Drew Alar, who you don't want out there in clutch time, you don't want out there, no killer instinct, that's life in the NFL. So that concept, when it was explained that way, I went, there you go. That's the Drew Alar problem. Like, if he has a perfect pocket and everything is clean and you're favored by 21 against the opponent, Drew Alar's your quarterback. But that's not the worst team in the NFL can beat any team in the NFL if they don't show up. You don't get to play Citadel. So anyway, I just hate the Drew Alar pick. When he's at college, I never understood it. I didn't watch every Penn State game. Just when I watched Drew Alar face any team, I just kept going, never mind. You get the point now. Louis Bellina Show inside the Charles Schwab studio, Tuesday edition. Something that was fun. 5 biggest draft misses. I think it was CBS Sports also, and what is a draft miss? It's not actually players. This was more fun. What did the experts and the analysts get wrong? What player did they get wrong? What narrative did they get wrong? That was more fun. I'll give you an example. Jermod McCoy, cornerback. And this guy was projected first round. He was projected maybe top 10. He ended up going in the 4th round, 101 overall. So how did every single NFL expert get it wrong? Injury. And now, do you exactly blame the experts for not having the injury and, projecting the fall that hard? Yeah, you do. If they're going to be projecting trades and all these things, you're the expert. But the number one thing was probably Jermod McCoy, the cornerback out of Tennessee. Supposed to be a top 10 pick, went 101, went in the 4th round. Ty Simpson, I don't want to hold anyone accountable because when one franchise loses their mind, I don't know how you're supposed to project or predict that. So the Ty Simpson going, 13 to the Rams? No, every expert got that wrong. Every unexpert, or is it inexpert? Every non-expert got that wrong. Nobody got that right. The Rams didn't get that right. So Ty Simpson, every expert got it wrong. Staying in the quarterback realm, the Garrett Nussmeier slide, he was QB3. You can go back and look. I don't care who your favorite draft dude is. I think Bucky Brooks at NFL.com was the only one. He had him 4. But every single PFF, Jordan Reed, Dane Brugler, everyone had him as QB3. He went QB10, and he went in the 7th round. Now, he had an injury too, but that's why he's QB3. If you take a look at his projection before this past season and the year before, he had a round one kind of grade, but his last 2 years were nightmares. I mean, he was no longer a first-round quarterback. That's fair, but to go from QB3 to QB10, just a seventh round, we got nothing else to do at the pick. That wasn't just surprising. That was outright stunning, horrific. Wow, that was wrong. So, yeah, everybody got that. That was a consensus, unanimous. No expert, nobody. Even if people said, I'm cool on him or cautious on him, nobody had him as QB10. Garrett Nussmeier. There's a couple other things I saw that the experts, the draft analysts, the mockers got wrong, but okay. So CBS Sports said Ohio State defenders go slightly later than expected. I can't play this game. They went 5, 7, and 11 instead of 2, 4, 8. No, you're trying too hard. I can't play that game. They went 5, 7, 11. Should have been 2, 4, 8. No. False narrative. I saw a second running back goes in round 1. And that was the whole trade back up at 32 when they took Price from Notre Dame. So 2 running backs in the first round, both from Notre Dame. Well, I got news for you. They both were first round grades. So, and because of the O-line wide receiver run, there should not have been 2 running backs, but there were 2 running backs with a first-round grade. So 2 running backs going in the first round is not a mistake or things going. I like to be somewhat fair. If we're going to grade, criticize, do right and wrong, I'm just saying. I don't know how wrong that was. When you have 11 trades, and I say this every year, mock drafts are worthless. They're for entertainment purposes because generally after the first trade, most mocks go wrong. But there's 11. Man, it's just for fun. Just for fun. Oh, I found this. Okay, I found the Drew Alar comment. Oh, it was an anonymous NFL personnel director, but Drew Alar. He has tons of real traits, but he's just not a killer. I actually think he's a really good processor, but I think it's performance anxiety. It's like in basketball. He's the guy in the layup line, and you think, oh, that guy's going to be good, but then you get into a game and he disappears. There you go. There you go. I'm having fun with the NFL draft, and there's something I really wanted to hit up. And the reason why, instead of the way too early 2027 mock, they said the never too early. So I love the bold naming and branding of it, but it's insight into A&M's football schedule 2027. How many first round projected alleged draft picks will the Aggies face next year? Well, we can take a little sneak peek if you want to. That's what's next here on the Louis Bellina Show from inside the Charles Schwab studio. Support for you comes from Mark Sim. He is our local Charles Schwab branch. Yeah, he is the man right here in College Station. And with Schwab, they offer a modern approach to wealth management. That means they have the financial planning to meet your specific needs, like why did you call them? But also with Schwab, and that means Mark Sim, they have the flexibility to adapt as those needs change with time, and they will in ways that you haven't even imagined. But for Charles Schwab, been there, done that, they got your back. Learn more at schwab.com/College Station. Schwab.com/College Station.
Blending Southern culture with college football.
You guys are awesome.
Music, sport commentary, and more. It's Marty and McGee.
Marty and McGee.
Saturday mornings from 6 to 9 on the Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
The Louis Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric. They have free estimates. They do military and veteran discounts. They are CC Electric. We're hanging out on a Tuesday, kind of all things draft. The draft that was, but also the draft ahead, 2027 mock draft. Athlon Sports. Athlon. The former home of Mitch Light. Braden Gall still works with them some too. I had so much fun when I don't know how many people remember this, but when A&M played at Vanderbilt, I did the Louis Bellina Show all week long from Nashville. I did it from the Country Music Hall of Fame. I did it from the Student Union on the campus of Vanderbilt. I did it from the Athlon Sports Conference Hall, and Mitch and Braden were with me for the entire 2 hours. I did my show from the Athlon offices. I did, the Johnny Cash Museum. And that's one of the coolest things. They actually cleared out like an exhibit next to the window. And so people walking by were like, I wonder what that is. 5 shows, Monday through Friday, the whole week, live from Nashville, different location each day. And I will just tell you, it's one of the greatest weeks ever. Each one was different and unique. And I got stories from each day. And the Athlon one was a blast. Mitch and Braden, 3 of us, 2 hours in their office, just hanging out. So great memories of Athlon. Nashville, the Johnny Cash Museum was crazy. The Country Music Hall of Fame. I'll share this one as a quick story real quick. So we're setting up, and it's in the Country Music Hall of Fame, and there's this exhibit, and there's a line wrapping around going down floors. And as I'm setting up, all these people are coming over to me, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, I know I'm cool and all, and I know people love me and all, but, I'm not used to this. And one of the ladies goes, are you going to have Keith Urban with you? And I hate to say no, and I'm like, I wonder why you're inquiring. She goes, well, because here's how the story goes. The reason the Country Music Hall of Fame was packed that Friday, and people thought what I was doing was setting up the radio booth for the opening of the Keith Urban exhibit, which my show was 11 to 1. That was the Friday, 11 to 1. And the Keith Urban exhibit was opening at 12. So they thought that I was setting up the radio booth, that Keith Urban was going to hang out and do like a podcast, or, there's going to be a live broadcast. And I was the guy that was going to be having Keith Urban on. So they were like going nuts and swarming me. And I had to eventually go, no, I'm from College Station, Texas, to do a sports talk show on the day the Keith Urban exhibit is opening. Man, the disinterest and disappointment I saw in people's eyes. Wow. But it was awesome. It was so much fun. Anyway, I'm not kidding. It was such a great time. Back to mocking drafts and everything. The Athlon, they didn't call it the way too early, because generally I'm the only human being that does that. But they did a never too early 2027 mock draft. And for me, the biggest takeaway I had, how many projected first round picks will the Aggies face in the upcoming season? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11. There's 32 first round picks, and Aggie football 2026 projected first round picks for now could face 11, almost as the men. I'll share why. Arch Manning, number 1 pick overall. It could be the Jets. It could be the Dolphins. Colin Simmons, edge rusher, number 4 to the Cleveland Browns. Jordan Seaton, LSU, 6 to the Raiders. Dylan Stewart, edge, South Carolina, 7, Saints. Cam Coleman, wide receiver, Texas is 9. And Trevor Goolsby, offensive tackle, Texas is 10. So hold on here. I want you to understand what I just said, because sometimes I mumble and sometimes I fumble, and that's fair enough. But in the top 10 of the upcoming 2027 NFL draft, A&M would face 6 of the top 10 players. 4 are from the University of Texas. Top 10 NFL draft upcoming project. Athlon Sports, their NFL expert for the 2027 draft, they would face 6 of the top 10, 4 alone from the University of Texas. Then you go to number 12, Ahmad Hardy, running back, Missouri. Number 13, David Stone, I think it's the defensive tackle at Oklahoma. Then 15 is the cornerback, Zabian Brown, Alabama. Number 24 is Caden Green, the offensive lineman at Mizzou. And then number 26 is the tight end at LSU, Tradez Green. So, 11 first-round NFL draft picks total on A&M's 2026 schedule. 6 of the top 10. and the University of Texas, which I already hinted at yesterday, 4 all in the top 10. 4 all in the top 10. That's what awaits A&M's schedule in 2026. To say it got tougher and price of poker went up and all that, a little bit of an understatement, yes. I know I was pondering which Aggies for this upcoming draft, and you know, the number one that hit me is Mario Craver. I know that heading into this past draft, and before all the other wide receivers declared, I saw him pop up in some mocks as a 1 already. Now, I don't know the entire wide receiver class, and before he got injured, Mario Craver was kind of a first-round grade projected. So Craver still stays healthy all year, and we'll just say things work out for the O-line. I think Craver could, the question being obviously, which players next year for Texas A&M could be 2027 first-round NFL picks? And I think Mario Craver. I completely think Mario Craver. And after Craver, I'm not sure. You might want to ask yourself, which transfer portal player will have this breakout season, become all SEC, and make himself, with A&M's development and their own hard work, and become a first-round NFL pick? Because that's kind of been the story for A&M. Who's that? Is it going to be Saka? Any of these offensive linemen that transferred in? Because that's how it's been. Did you know that Nate Burkacher worked his way into the second round? Of these players, which 5 or 6 are going to be drafted in the first 3 rounds, because that's what they did. That's what happened. That's what's got my jaw dropped with the work that Elko and his staff are doing in the portal and in development. I want to say those two things in the same sentence. I don't think they can be separated. Finding players that are a perfect fit for your system, developing them in your system, and then letting them realize their full potential. And then every scout can see the tape and see the development. It's the perfect harmony. It's kind of what I feel like we're seeing right now. That's why I think their hit rate is so insane in the portal, is they're getting players that fit them. And sure, they still have to pay them, but offer the players that you can work with and not the players that just straight off the list. But yeah, which Aggies do you think will be first round next year, or Aggie, if there's going to be one? I got Mario Craver. You can take anyone else, but here's my first round selection in our draft. But A&M football 2026, 11 projected first round draft picks, 4 from the University of Texas, all those Longhorn players in the top 10. A&M gets 6 players in the top 10. LSU with a couple. That's the other thing that caught my attention. I know he's starting with the most new players, but at least 2 of them are first round projected for Lane Kiffin. Both are on the offensive side. Jordan Seaton, the tackle, and the tight end, Trey'Dez Green. Now, before we have to take a timeout, I looked at a mock draft for the NBA. And no, you haven't heard me say NBA in probably 10, 15, 20 years because the NBA is dead to me. But Bucky Ball has me so ready to go. Remember all those players that gave Aggie basketball fits? Like the Arkansas, talking about Acuff. It's not a coincidence they all show up in these first rounds. Second round of the NBA doesn't really count a lot. You need to be a first round pick or else you're just, you got to be a first round NBA pick. But those players that gave A&M kind of fits all show up in these first round mocks. And it was me kind of in season talking with Logan how you need those type of players if you want to make the kind of runs. And they all popped up in these first round mocks. And A&M should have 2 men and then all the parts to back them up. Logan and I next Tuesday are going to talk about expectation, what's possible with the talent level they got. In between, I said 2. They got 3 now. M'Baku, what will his health be? Bryce Warren, who's went G League, averaging 20 points, and then PJ Haggerty. They got 3 now. A&M has those players that A&M used to not be able to stop. And when I was looking at that NBA mock, number 1 overall, the BYU player, he was a lock, I thought, A.J. DeBonsa. But then there's Darius Acuff going 5 to Sacramento. A lot of U of H players in here. Nate Ament, Tennessee. He didn't quite have the season he was supposed to. Phelan over at Bama. Just, these names. U of H, by the way, had like 3 players in the first round. Swain at Texas. 26 to Denver. Yeah, A&M now. Here's the key, too. Between the 3, Warren, Haggerty, and Baku, maybe all 3 don't have that year. Could be injury again. It could be buckyball system's too much for them. You just need to. There's nothing like not putting all your eggs into one basket. So with A&M's 3 NBA potential players, if it doesn't work out for one, you're not left with 0 now. That's a pretty rare thing for Aggie hoops. Let me take a timeout. We'll come back, sprint to the finish. That's what's next here on the Louis Bellina Show from inside the Charles Schwab studio, Tuesday on The Zone.
And now, ladies and gentlemen,
The Louis Bellina Show. He loves his Aggies, Astros, and Stars.
Damn straight.
Listen in weekdays 11 to 2 on The Zone.
The Louis Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric, built on faith, family, and community. We have the Community Spotlight. That's about 13, 14 minutes from now, and we're going to visit with the Brazos Valley Food Bank. Community Spotlight's every Tuesday, 1:50. I have a question, and it's an age-old question. I'm not going to lie. I know that. But I don't think of it all the time, so it's not age-old for me. I usually get asked it. I don't ask it, but this past weekend, it started to pop up in my head. I feel like Aggie Athletics has a lot of momentum. And Mike Elko broke a lot of not senses this past season. Road win top 5, road win SEC play top 25, and the greatest comeback in school history. South Carolina, first college football playoff. Buckyball year 1 is one of the greatest things I think I've ever seen in Aggie athletics. Aggie baseball, the turnaround from last year, and last year is one of the most horrific things I think we've ever seen. To be the consensus unanimous preseason number 1 and not make the postseason ever is historically awful, nightmarish. You got to be freaking kidding me, right? So, and then little things in between. Elko, the recruiting sense, like the number 1.5 class for 2027. And does anyone want to dispute? And what has Bucky done since having one of the greatest seasons Lou's ever seen? This is the greatest recruiting I've ever seen Aggie basketball do. So, does anybody actually want to fight or dispute over the concept of the momentum? If you do, you go fight in the corner because I'm not going to fight you. So the question, and I think you might see this coming, and again, this gets asked all the time, I think, in bars across Bryan College Station. It's been texted to me a couple hundred times, but which sport do you think is going to win the national championship first? Do you think that one of them has the mo now to break the curse? Do you think it's Elko? Do you think it's Bucky? Do you think it's Early? Which of these big 3 is going to win a Natty? A&M has won national championships throughout time, and quite recently, matter of fact, hi Aggie Volleyball, a national championship. They exist, but I think for the Aggie fan base, you need one in the big 3. I think football, obviously, is the big one, but I think it would be the most A&M thing maybe ever to get one in basketball, because I know everybody would be all in. I think the bandwagon, like everyone would jump on and the wheels would shoot off the wagon, because yeah, it's one of the big 3, and I think A&M fans would be 100% on board. I just think a lot of people wouldn't know what to do with it if Bucky wins a national championship. I'm not sure how much the athletic department would be able to maximize financially, economically off of something like that. Where if it's football, they'd make $1 zillion off of a national championship. Baseball, I think, would equal a nice profit gain. I think baseball would provide a huge bump for things. But the question, and again, this gets asked, I've never asked it, I think, but it's been asked of me, so I ask you for the first time maybe, but which of those three do you think is going to win the Natty first? Because there's so much momentum. I don't want to say golden era until something happens. Because in Aggie sports history, I get tired of all the winning equaling nothing. Not a plaque, not a trophy, whole lot of participation plaques, whole lot of participation ribbons. Go win something, man. Go win something. That's what's still missing, but you open your eyes and you look right now and you see the direction. And I'm sticking with the big three. You might pick a sport that's on you. Which of these programs is going to win a national championship, a Natty first? Between football, buckyball, and baseball. And again, if it would be Bucky and basketball, that would be the most amazing, like out of nowhere, unexpected. I think that party, because March Madness, man, a month and every weekend. College football, the national championship's like 7-8 months long. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they should not go for a national championship in football, but March Madness, the madness, to forever may be in one shining moment. I my whole life have been an all three fan. There's enough time in the year. And remember something, my resume, my street cred, I was every game of the Melvin Watkins 0-16, home of the 0-16. So I've done my time. Okay. I've done my time. You could text 979-693-1150 if you'd like to take a stab of the big three. Who's going to go first? Who's going to get the first national championship? Who's going to break the curse? Aggie football, buckyball, Aggie baseball. Who do you think? Or I'll give you option 4. Lou, it's Texas A&M. It ain't going to happen if you're still feeling that way. But I stick by. There's tons of momentum right now. I feel like good things are happening and will continue to happen. I just, it's time to win something. It's time to win something. And even if it's meaningless, which a conference championship, I talked about this yesterday. Everything. The system has beat us that, conference championships, everything in the postseason dwarfs. Because do you remember who won the conference championship in baseball, the conference championship in basketball last year? Nope. I almost would say, do you remember who won the conference 2-3 years ago, who won the conference championship in football? You might have a better chance, but it's just not. But you can remember who won a college football playoff game, even if it was the opening round game. So anyway, 979-693-1150, 979-693-1150. While we're in the college football universe, another question or philosophy or concept. If you could push aside, think outside your hate for for Texas Tech. It's not about the kid. This Brandon Sorsby story, and I hate having to go by other people's information, what they're reporting, because we don't know what's real or not real. But, the Texas Tech quarterback, Brandon Sorsby, checked himself into a residential treatment program for gambling addiction. That was announced yesterday. Heck, that was happening live on air when Mitch Light joined me. He broke it for us. And his decision to seek treatment, according to sources, came in the wake of a discovery that Sorsby made thousands of online bets on many different sports via a gambling app. He did like a lot of gamblers and a lot of college students. He had an app and he was just placing bets all over the place. Now, the organization, the NCAA, forbids athletes from betting on both college and pro. What he did is illegal. And it doesn't matter how much, it doesn't matter how often, you can't bet as an athlete. And he did. And again, the quote is, he bet thousands of online bets. So he didn't place 3. We're finding out that when he was at Indiana in 2022 as a true freshman, he played in 1 game as a reserve. And according to sources, these bets he made, if he bet on Indiana, it was to win. And in that 1 game he played or whatever, he didn't even bet on that game. So people are trying to be like, well, it's not that bad. He wasn't, point shaving. He wasn't fixing games. But that's not what the rule says, right? The rule says you can't. It's no. It's like there's not a minimum. Well, if you only bet bets that are under $50 and not a total of $5,000, and no, the rule is no. Do you know how the college athletes and pro athletes, the ones that how they generally get caught? It's not by the NCAA, and it's not by the FBI or the CIA or the Marines or the elite forces. It's by the Gaming Commission. They have to protect gambling because the second it gets compromised, right? Guess what? They have to shut it down. Hundreds of billions, zillions of dollars would be lost. So they're the ones that are the elite guardians of all this. He wasn't even caught by them. That's how just bad he was at this or whatever. So, and a lot of people are like, this kid shouldn't have to pay. He didn't bet on his games and he didn't shave points. But the rule is no. And if you start allowing, just as long as it's not your team, you're opening up even more problems for the tracking and then the oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. I didn't even know I played that day. It's kind of messy. But I'm also going to take you even further behind the scenes on this. You want to know what really happened? Sorsby transferred from Cincinnati to Texas Tech. Cincinnati is suing for money back on the contract he signed. Cincinnati ratted him out. They knew about this. But Sorsby and his agent are fighting Cincinnati over the money. I'm telling you, Cincinnati gave him up. And this happened. How modern athlete story is this? That Sorsby at Tech, I think, was ratted out by Cincinnati, who's suing them for money over NIL about something that Sorsby at Tech did at Indiana and was ratted out by Cincinnati. That's as modern as the college football universe gets, isn't it? He did this in 2022. He's being now held accountable in 26 because he's probably ratted out by a school Cincy he transferred from. Third party. I got to take a timeout. We come back and Community Spotlight with the Bres Valley Food Bank. It's the Louis Bellina Show, Thursday on the Zone.
We are going. Are you ready? It's only 11:50 a.m. and 93.7 FM. When we get tired, we play harder.
It's time. Oh, here we go!
Let's go!